Military experts often say that to defeat your enemy, you need to first know him. When it comes to the war against radical Islam, Walid Shubat and Zachariah Anani don't just know the enemy, they were the enemy. As a young man, Shubat was a member of the Palestine Liberation Organization, or PLO, a terrorist group headed by Yasser Arafat.
Our mission at first, we were grown up in the West Bank, was to kill as many Jews as you can.
Anani belonged to several Islamic terrorist groups in Lebanon. By the age of 14, he had already committed his first murder, and he was just getting started.
Within 4 years, I had 223 points.
Which means?
Which means 223 kills. And 2/3 of them by daggers. I was trained what we call it the body combat.
Growing up in the Middle East, Shubat and Anani were taught to wage jihad against all non-Muslims, especially Jews. For years, they did just that, which makes their transformation into Christian witnesses for Israel all the more amazing. The two men have devoted their lives to speaking out against radical Islam and standing up for the Jewish state.
I began to understand that I was really on quicksand. I was really sinking deep. And the truth was not in the Quran. The Quran does not have any prophecies in it. It does not have any predictive prophecies telling us the future in such detail. The Bible does.
CBN News caught up with Shubat and Anani last month in Philadelphia, where they shared their stories at an event titled 3 Ex-Terrorists Speak Out. If you think this sounds dangerous, you're right. They were supposed to be joined by a third former terrorist named Ibrahim Abdullah. But Abdullah, also a convert to Christianity, backed out at the last minute because Muslim family members threatened to kidnap his children if he participated. Shubat says that's par for the course.
Islam is like the song Hotel California. You know, you can check in, but you can't check out. You can check out if you want in a coffin.
But Anani and Shubat did check out, leaving years of cult-like indoctrination behind. Anani's grandfather and great-grandfather were both high-ranking Islamic clerics in Lebanon. By the time he was 13, Zach had joined his first terrorist group with the full approval of his family. The group was called the Youth of Ali, named after the Islamic prophet Muhammad's cousin.
And the kind of training you are subject to, no matter how old are you and how educated you are, it will lead you only in two ways, only. There is no third way. Either you became a very fanatic, lunatic, fundamentalist warrior, or you become a killing machine.
Anani says he became a killing machine, at times even targeting fellow Muslims. He told us of one occasion when a Muslim tried to wake him in the middle of the night to pray.
I said, in a very challenging way, you come and wake me up 3 o'clock. I'll shoot you. 3 o'clock, he knocks on my door. I pull up my pistol from under my pillow, look at the door, measure where's his chest, and shoot him through the door and go back to sleep again.
Shubat also hailed from a prominent family. His grandfather was close to the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who worked closely with Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime. In Palestinian schools, young Walid learned that Jesus and Moses were Palestinian revolutionaries, and that the Jews' day of judgment was coming.
Most Americans think that terrorism starts by some group coming to recruit you. The recruitments already happen at the mosque. They already happen at the school. They're already part of the whole system of education. You don't need to recruit. The people are willing souls ready to die for martyrdom, or ready to die for Palestine, ready to die for the cause of Allah.
Walid was one of them.
The assurance for salvation in Islam is via martyrdom. That's the whole message. The Quran clearly stated it. وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٌ بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. Do not think that the ones who die in the cause of Allah in martyrdom are dead, but are with Allah receiving their blessings. This is why my cousin Ra'id went on his suicide mission and died. And my aunt Fatima, in the streets of Bethlehem, was passing candy in the streets because her son was now a martyr.
After spending time in prison for attacking Israelis, Walid was ready to carry out missions for the PLO. On one run, he planted a bomb at a bank in Bethlehem, right next to the Church of the Nativity.
As I was walking away from the bank, reached the Nativity Church where Jesus was born, I heard this big explosion behind me, and I ran away, and I was never caught, and they never found out. And I never confessed these things until I became a Christian in 1993.
The same Christian faith that Zach and Waleed had once wanted to crush would eventually change their lives. After a chance encounter with a Christian preacher on a street in Lebanon, Zach left Islam and terrorism at the age of 17. His family reacted by disowning him.
My father took the small Bible from my hand and shredded it and slapped me 2 or 3 times and stepped backward, thinking I'm jumping him. And I said, no, he hit me or he beat me, I won't change a thing. I'll be a Christian.
Outside his home, things were even worse. He was dragged to the local mosque, beaten, and excommunicated. There were also several attempts on his life.
I was shot, I was knifed, I was poisoned, I was hit with a car, I was hit with sticks.
But Zach refused to be intimidated or swayed from his new faith.
It took a long years to study, if you want to put it this way, the Bible and the Christian faith. But in the beginning, like Paul said, I accepted Christ as an ignorant, and wisdom came later on.
Waleed left Islam for good in 1993 after his wife, already a Christian, challenged him to prove the Bible wrong. He couldn't.
I began to understand the story of the fall of man. Went all the way down to Revelation, and by the time I went to the prophets, I was fascinated to study Zechariah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Isaiah. For I am God and there is no other. I am God and there is none like me.
Waleed's newfound faith cost him his father and his siblings. He now lives in an undisclosed location where he heads the Waleed Shubat Foundation, a pro-Israel group. He's also written a book detailing his journey called Why I Left Jihad. But he's disappointed that his message hasn't been well received by some in the West.
And here's the ironic thing, the day that I hated Jews, I wanted to kill them, blow them up, I was called a freedom fighter by the world and by the press. The day that I turned around and said, you know what, I don't hate Jews, I don't hate blacks, I don't hate anybody. I love everybody equally. That's when I became racist. Go figure.
Zach Anani now lives in North America, where he's director of evangelism for Millions to Millions Ministries International. His time in the West hasn't always gone smoothly. He's been assaulted and seen his life threatened by Muslims in the U.S. and Canada. Shabbat says the best way to counter this jihad violence is as easy as turning a page.
Because we are in a spiritual warfare. We need to send out the truth from the Bible throughout the Muslim world. And if we send out the message and tell them what the Bible already foretells, the outcome of what's going to happen to the Muslims, if they can understand it and see it clearly, then that faith, that false faith that they have their hopes on, is shaken.
The ex-terrorists know their message isn't politically correct. Sure enough, they've had trouble getting coverage from the mainstream media. But they say they'll continue to tell the truth about what really drives Islamic terrorism. As for their safety, they're leaving that in God's hands. In Philadelphia, Eric Stakelbeck, CBN News.